Hi everyone, it's Fun. Hope you're all doing okay and keeping well and having a nice Wednesday so far. Today I'm doing a video in regards to books that I have read over the years and that I've enjoyed. And there will be a couple of authors who probably considered controversial today. But needless to say, I do enjoy the works, and some of the subject matter will be like dated now by today's standards. But I just want to share, as again, some of the books I've enjoyed over the years, some of the authors who I've enjoyed and who I am fans of the works. I will be giving a synopsis of each of the books. But in regards to viewers, they'll be my own viewers. They'll just be short, brief, reviews of why I enjoy the book. So I'm going to start off with the paperbacks, and this one is The Cellar by Richard Lyman, and this is book one of his Beast House trilogy. And the synopsis says, visitors flock to see the Beast House with its blood-soaked corridors and creaky doors. Armed with instamatics and video camcorders, these poor souls enter the forbidden house, never to return. The deeper the tourists go into the house, the darker their nightmares become. The men are dealt with quickly, the women have to wait longer. But the worst part of the house is actually beneath the haunted structure. There lies an even more terrifying presence waiting for its next victim. Don't even think about going into the cellar. And that's that one. As I say, it is the first of the Beast House trilogy, and I'll be honest with you, Richard Lyman is a guilty pleasure of mine. I know his books are quite outdated by today's standards, and the words and phrases he uses for certain things are quite kind of maybe controversial in regards to parts of anatomies, which is the politest way I can put it. But I do enjoy his books. You gotta remember that, his books was wrote in a different time, and I just think them, in a weird way, fun books to read. I know the content of his stories are quite brutal and visceral at times, and the language in the books at times leave a lot to be left desired, as again by today's standards. But I do find his books enjoyable, classic splatterpunk, and I enjoy them. I've enjoyed every book I've read of his so far. I've read The Cellar, the Beast House trilogy, the Glory Boars, Quake. What else have I read? I've got quite a few of Richard Lyman's books. What's the one I read? Oh, Night in the Lonesome October, I think it was, and The Travelling Vampire. The Travelling Vampire. No, look. Might be near. And it's not in here. Is it The Travelling Vampire Show or something like that? But yeah, Richard Lyman, classic horror author. I do enjoy his works, and I'll continue to do so. Next up we have The Master of the Macabre, Mr. Clive Barker. and this one is Cold Heart Canyon. Possibly my favourite book by Mr. Barker. I've read this book 2 or 3 times now over the years, and I've enjoyed it every single time. Classic ghost story, you know, of the golden age of Hollywood. And I'll give a synopsis of what the book's about. I do apologise for any background noise you might hear. It's probably about 1:30, 1:45 of the afternoon now, so you might hear some background noise, household background noise plus traffic, because I've got the window open. But I'll give a synopsis now of Cold Heart Canyon, which is, after a run of failed movies, superstar Todd Pickett elects to have extensive surgery in a desperate bid to regain his lost beauty. The procedure goes horribly, grotesquely wrong. Hiding from his fans and from the press he knows will tear his reputation apart if they find out about his operation, Todd takes revenge in a place that no map of Hollywood has ever described, Cold Heart Canyon. Here, nursing his wounds and his desperation, he discovers what the history of the Dream Factory has long concealed. A world somewhere between life and death, reality and illusion, where the great legends of a forgotten Hollywood are waiting to educate him in the bitter business of life after fame. Fantastic book. As I said, probably one of my all-time favourites by Clive Barker. It has everything. It's terrifying, it's mystifying, it's eerie, it is visceral in places. It definitely sends the icicles down the back of your neck when you're reading it at times. There is name drops in regards to the golden age of Hollywood. So you've got is it Thea Barra? Is the name Thea Barra, I think. There is certain names mentioned in the book, and would it be considered controversial? Maybe. It definitely holds a light and a mirror to the to what Hollywood is about, and that basically not all what glitters is gold, and it's basically a story of the seedy underbelly of cinema in places, and as I've said, it holds a mirror up to fame and fortune and the falseness of basically sometimes dreams don't come true, in regards to celebrity and status, should we say. And it's kind of like a dark tale of Hollywood. It's very good. It's very atmospheric, and it does make you think at times. It's a fantastic story. Very much recommend it. Clive Barker, one of the masters of horror. I mean, me and my partner very much fans of Mr. Barker, and his writing. As I say, very much the master of the macabre. But this one stands out for me, and it will always be my favourite one. very much enjoyed it. Still do. Next up we have A Man Is So Discreet by Mindy McGuinness. And this one says, with a tagline, Grace May knows madness. She keeps it locked away, along with her voice, trapped deep inside a brilliant mind that cannot forget horrific family secrets. Those secrets, along with a bulge in her belly, land her in a Boston insane asylum. Grace is banished to the dark cellars, where her mind is discovered by a visiting doctor who dabbles in the new study of criminal psychology. With her keen eyes and sharp memory, she will make the perfect assistant at crime scenes. After escaping to an ethical asylum with the doctor's help, Grace continues to operate under the cloak of madness, and must now hunt a murderer while she confronts the demons in her own past. In this beautifully twisted historical thriller, acclaimed author Mindy McGuinness explores the fine line between sanity and insanity, good and evil, and the madness that exists in all of us. This is a fantastic story. Some of the characters in this book you really take to heart, and there's one particular character, what's the name? I read this book a fair few years back now. I'm not going to remember like all the characters, but there's one character, she's an Irish character who stood out. What was the name? And I'll tell the reason why she stood out. Is it Nell? Or was it Lizzie? It could have been Lizzie. It could have been Lizzie. And she was such a tragic character. Basically, if I remember right, there's one character in it who was from quite a noble family, and she was like presumed to be promiscuous, and that. But it turns out that something else happened to her in regards to the family name, and she exacted a revenge on her in-laws, should we say. I don't want to give too much away, but when you read the book, or if you are interested in reading the book, you will discover. I mean, the characters have quite upsetting backstories. They do, but one stood out for me, and I've never forgot her. And she was quite, I say, tragic all around. Her revenge against her in-laws was just a joy to read, to be honest. As I, without me going into too much detail, because I don't want to spoil the story, if you'd like to read it, but it's very much worth a read. It is a book that will stick with you, particularly for one character alone. And if you like your historical thrillers, I very much recommend this one. A Man Is So Discreet by Mindy McGuinness. Next up we have one called Haunting Violet by Alexandra Harvey. And this one says, Violet Willoughby doesn't believe in ghosts, but they believe in her. Violet has spent years taking part in her mother's elaborately faked seances, putting the rich and powerful in touch with the dead, and their success has brought them a life of luxury they could only have dreamed of, and Violet the prospect of a society marriage. The last thing Violet expected was to start seeing and hearing the dead for real. But now she is haunted day and night by the ghost of a drowned girl who won't let her rest until her murderer is uncovered. Violet must use her talents to unravel the mystery surrounding the girl's death, and quickly before the killer strikes again. Now I do believe this is a standalone, and I'm pretty sure it still stands as a standalone, but I wish Alexandra Harvey would make a sequel to this one. I very much enjoyed it a few years ago when I read it, and again I don't want to really go into too much detail with these books, which is why I'm only giving like synopsis really, but I thoroughly enjoyed every one what I'm showing you in the video and the authors. But again, if you like spooky, thriller, Victorian-esque stories, then this is a good one to read. Very much enjoyed it. I'm hoping for a sequel one day. That's Haunting Violet. Next up, we have The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Again, I know in recent years he is quite a controversial author, but you know, to me, you can't escape the fact that he's wrote some good stories and enjoyable stories, like in regards to The Sandman, Good Omens with the late great Sir Terry Pratchett, and what was American Gods and things. And I do enjoy this book, and that's The Graveyard Book. And this one says, nobody Owens, known to his friends as Bod, is a normal boy. He would be completely normal if he didn't live in a graveyard, being raised and educated by ghosts. There are dangers and adventures for Bod in the graveyard, but it is in the land of the living that real danger lurks, for it is there that the man Jack lives, and he has already killed Bod's family. A deliciously dark masterwork by best-selling author Neil Gaiman, with illustrations by award-winning Chris Riddle. I mean, to me, it's a beautiful book. It's a beautiful, well-written story, and you do take the characters to heart, and like the ghosts in the graveyard are just so nice and protective of Bod and the vampire who resides there as well. So again, I know Neil Gaiman is controversial through one reason or another, as you probably already know. But to me, you can't escape the fact that he's wrote some great stories. And I very much enjoyed the Sandman TV series, Good Omens. American Gods, I wasn't too struck on American Gods, I'll be honest. But Good Omens, I enjoyed it. I still do. And needless to say, the Sandman, to me, that TV series was cut too short. And I don't think it was fair on the cast, how the show was treated, and it was just rushed at the end, which I think is a shame. But yeah, The Graveyard Book, Neil Gaiman, love it. Next up we have Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone. And this one says, the tagline is, once upon a time, an angel and a devil fell in love. It did not end well. Around the world, black handprints are appearing on doorways, scorched there by winged strangers who have crept through a slit in the sky. And in the tangled lanes of Prague, a young art student named Karu is about to be caught up in a brutal otherworldly war. When a stranger, beautiful, haunted Akiva, fixes his fire-coloured eyes on her, the result is a star-crossed love whose roots drink deep of the violent past. From master storyteller and National Book Award finalist Laini Taylor comes a sweeping and gorgeously written modern fantasy about a forbidden love, an ancient and epic battle, and a hope for a world remade. And this is part of the book one, of the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. Very much enjoy this series. I think it was beautifully written. The characters are just gorgeous. My favourite characters of the book are Brimstone and Madrigal, and them just enjoyable fantasy reads. The world building is fantastic. The creature, not creatures, but the fantastical beings, if you like, and the atmosphere of the books is a joy to read. I read all three. I mean, it's been a while now since I read all three, but just very much enjoy the time with them. But yeah, I might have to reread these one of the days, I think, one of the times. They're, the way Brimstone is described in the book to me, I know, like, when we all read books and we all envision the characters in different ways in our mind's eye, if you like. But when I read these books, Brimstone reminded me of Pan from Pan's Labyrinth in a weird way, how he's described. I don't know why, but that's the kind of envision I had when I was reading them for Brimstone. And that's the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor. I read Strange the Dreamer. Yeah, Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares. I did read those too, but I liked them. I just couldn't gel with them two books like I did the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series. You know, it's no escaping the fact that Laini Taylor is a good writer, she is, but I just couldn't gel with Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares and enjoy it as much as I did this trilogy. So next up we have Stephen Bruce, Terrain in Hell. And this book was recommended by my good friend Mark, and shout out to Mark. Very much enjoyed it. Such a great read. It really did draw you in and make you question everything in what we know of, what we're taught in regards to religion, if you like, without me sounding too controversial now. You know, I'm trying not to but in regards to the great battle, if you like, of heaven. So I'll give you a synopsis now. The time is the beginning, the place is heaven, the story is the revolt of the angels, a war of magic, corruption and intrigue that could destroy the universe. Short and sweet synopsis. Basically, it is like the battle of the angels in heaven. So obviously you've got like Lucifer and Lilith, and basically the before and after of the great fall, shall we say. I'm trying not to yeah, I wouldn't say be offensive to anyone, but I'm just trying to keep it on the level, so to speak. But it's a very good story, and you do see aspects from different sides of the event. You know, as I said, the build up of the angelic war, should we say, to the fall of Lucifer, and it's a very intriguing read, and it is a book that makes you think, and you will be siding with characters who you shouldn't really be. Well, depends what side. It depends which way you want to look at things. But I found myself siding with someone who took the brunt and got the blame, maybe for something that it's a book you need to read. I think it's a book, if you're interested in reading, to discover for yourselves, without me going into too much detail on religion, to be fair, and the Great Fall, if you like. But very good book, very much enjoyed it. Will definitely read it one day. And you, as again I did, you know, everybody's different. The individual reader will have their own thoughts. Myself, I sided with or felt sympathy. The only way I can put it is literally sympathy for the devil, if you like. There, I've said it. But as again, if you ever want to read at any time, make up, you know, your own minds and that. But very much enjoyed it. Shout out again to Mark for recommending such a great, you know, great story. Fantastic. Next up we have Never the Bride by Paul Myers. I can never remember. I can never pronounce Paul's last name. I think Paul Myers. I think. And this is the book one of the Brenda and Effie series. That's that one. And this one says, Brenda has come to Whitby to run a B&B in search of some peace and quiet. She and her best friend Effie like nothing better than going out for tea and keeping their eyes open for any of the mysteries goings on in the town. And what with satanic beauty salons, more than illegal aliens, roving psychic investigators, and the frankly terrifying owner of the Christmas Hotel, there is no shortage of nefarious shenanigans to keep them interested. But the oddest thing in Whitby may well be Brenda herself, with her terrible scars, her strange lack of a surname, and the fact that she takes 2 different shoe sizes. Brenda should have known that people, as well, unique as she is, just aren't destined for a quiet life. These books are fantastic. I mean, Brenda and Effie, they're quite cheeky little characters, and Brenda and Effie, and as I say, they both run a B&B, and the strange supernatural characters who come and go from the B&B and who live in this town. I'm a joy to read. It's just, they am funny little books. They're enjoyable books. They're quite quirky, and they gotta be read to believe, to be honest. But you know, as again, I am trying to keep my thoughts down to a minimum in regards to these books, because you know, we might have differing views, like, you know, when read and stuff, so I'm trying to keep them to a minimum. But yeah, I very much enjoy the Effie the Brenda and Effie series. They're just fun, quirky, good time books, and you will end up falling in love with Brenda and Effie. Them both a delight, and their attitudes are just sassy and remarkable to me. You know, you'll find yourself chuckling quite a lot in these books. But that's the first one, Never the Bride. Next up we have Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. This is a standalone. And on the back it says, Warbreaker is a story of two sisters who happen to be princesses. The god king, one of them, has to marry a lesser god, and an immortal trying to undo the mistakes he made hundreds of years ago. Theirs is a world in which those who die in glory return as gods to live, confined to a pantheon in Halandren's capital city. A world transformed by biochromatic magic, a power based on an essence known as breath. Using magic is arduous. Breath can only be collected 1 unit at a time from individual people. But the rewards are great. By using breath and drawing upon the colour in everyday objects, all manner of miracles and mischief can be performed. And it says, Brandon Sanderson proves again that he is the master of what Tolkien called secondary creation, the invention of whole worlds complete with magics and myths all their own. I've never read a book like it. Basically, what I just said, the magic system is all colour. Like, you know, by breath of like certain people. And the magic is like colours. I've never read a book like it. I thoroughly enjoyed this story. Granted, I haven't read any more from Brandon Sanderson, and I do believe this is a standalone. And he is quite a chunky little book. He's yeah, 652 pages long, so yeah, not that vast really, but it's a it's a phenomenal book. I really enjoyed it. I must try it. You know what, I'm saying this about all these books, I must try and reread them one day. Whether I will, I don't know. Whether I'll ever have the time to read them, I don't know, or live to the age to read them. I mean, I'm 51 now, so but I'm going to move on. But yeah, fantastic book, great fantasy story, really enjoyed it. It's just phenomenal. I've never read anything like it, and the world building, my goodness, you know, character development, brilliant, fantastic read. And so I do recommend Warbreaker. Next up we have Master and Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. What's that one? No. It has been a while since I've read this one. I do believe it's like a political supernatural, if I remember right. And a classic in its own right. I've heard of this book many years ago, but never bought it, never read it. So I read it. I bought it and read it a few years back, probably about 3 or 4 years ago now. And it's a very it's kind of like a dark book. I mean, it does have it, you know, it does have it like comedic moments. You know, it's not all doomed, but it's got, you know, very much political undertones. I mean, it's a classic in its own right. There's not many readers who've never read, you know, of this one, and I very much enjoyed it. To me, it was a strange. It did take me a while to get into it. It did when I first started reading it, but then after a while, I was like straight in the story, and that. So if there is a book I would seriously determine to reread one day, it probably would be this one. Because again, you know, it has got political undertones and stuff. Which is a good read. It's a very, very good read. I recommend it. You know, if you like your classic translated stories, then Master and Margarita. Give it a go. That's that. Now, Mum, I'm going to let another chair. Next up we have the late great James Herbert and the Ghosts of Sleath. James Herbert, fantastic author, one of my all-time favourites. I mean, could that man tell a story? My goodness, that man could tell a story and he'd have you, well, sleepless nights. My goodness. Some of the stories and books he wrote, blimey, you know, a classic of his genre. I know that. Very much missed with Mr. Herbert. This one says, Sleath, a picturesque village hidden away in a part of the Chiltern Hills, seldom visited by outsiders. With its medieval church and traditional green and with its medieval church and traditional green and pond, it presents the perfect picture of English rural calm. But something is lurking in the shadows of the ancient buildings. The faces of the people hiding behind the twitching curtains of the idyllic cottages betray the fear that has gripped a community. Fear of terrors beyond mortal control and imagination. Psychic investigator David Ash has had more experience than most of facing what lies behind paranormal and supernatural phenomena. But even he is unprepared for what greets him when he is summoned to investigate reports of mass hauntings. This breathtakingly original and powerful story immediately lays claim to being James Herbert's finest work yet. Chillingly disturbing, peopled with memorable characters and studied with unforgettable scenes, The Ghost of Sleath is the work of one of our foremost popular writers at the height of his powers. The millions of readers already familiar with James Herbert's novels will be delighted. Those who have yet to discover the scope and power of his writing have an enthralling experience awaiting them. Classic horror. Just possibly my favourite book ever of James Herbert. Very tense, very atmospheric, scary as hell. Literally is a nerve-shredding read, to be honest, at times. As I've just said, James Herbert, I've got a fair amount of his books down here, as I have Richard Lyman's and Clive Barker's on this shelf, and Anne Rice's on the above shelf. Very underrated. To me, James Herbert was a very underrated horror author. He should have had more recognition when he was with us. Powerful storyteller, and his books was just a joy and a terror to read. You know, joy and terror mixture when reading. Definitely caused sleepless nights at times with Mr. Herbert when I was reading his stories. But out of all the stories I've read, and I've read the Rats trilogy, I've read Once, The Magic Cottage, Nobody True, Creed, Sepulchre, Ash, Ghost of Sleath. Tops them all. Tops them all. He just terrified. When I read this book, he terrified me. Even like when I read The Ghost of Crickly Hall, was it? Yeah, that was scary. That was scary. But this topped the lot. Hence the reason this is my favourite James Herbert book of all time. Again, great man, wonderful author, very much missed in the horror genre world to me, but one of the best authors. Next up we have classic The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. classic tale. The synopsis is: the picture of Dorian Gray tells the dark and sinful yet moral tale of a young man who realises that he would sell his soul to the devil for an eternity of debauchery and youthfulness, only to discover that the devil's bargain is no bargain at all. What does it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? When Dorian Gray is asked this question, he knows the answer. He has learned his lesson the hard way and has destroyed the lives of others in the bargain. Upon its publication in 1891, Wilde's only novel was dismissed by the critics and public, becoming a classic years after his death. Timeless. I would go as far as saying this is my favourite classic story of all time. Great Faustian tale. The 1945 version, film version, starring Heard Hatfield, George Saunders and Angela Lansbury, is possibly one of my favourite films of all time. I have seen the version with Ben Barnes and Colin Firth, which I did find very, very good. Very, very good retelling. I also seen the version with Shane Bryant as Dorian Gray. Again, very good adaptation of the story. But my all-time favourite version will always be the 1945 black and white, starring Heard Hatfield in the title role. It's just a classic tale of, again, be careful what you're wishing for. And there's not really much I can say about the picture of Dorian Gray. What has already been said a million times over by other book YouTubers. But I agree. Classic story, timeless tale, and a tale of warning, basically. Great book. Love it. I've read it about 3 or 4 times over the years. I've always enjoyed it. Next up, we have The Amber Glow Candy Store by Hiyoko Kurisu. Translated by Matt Trayvord. And this one says, welcome to the Amber Glow Candy Store. The confectionist can give you what you most desire, but not in the way you expect. And again, I really enjoyed this little short story. It's quite a sweet little tale, and there's from different characters' viewpoints, and the Amber Glow Candy Store itself is run by a half human, half fox fabled deity, if you like. And it's just a sweet, cosy little story, and a couple of the chapters do, as they tend to do in these kind of cozy, warm books, pull on the heartstrings. And it's just a nice little tale, a nice little book with nice little tales in them. And if you like your cozies, if you enjoy, translated cozy, feel good books with a little fancy twist, then the Amber Glow Candy Store is a nice little read. I'm not sure if this is going to be a standalone, but I don't think there's any more in the series just yet, as far as my knowledge goes too. But yeah, sweet little story, nice. Next up we have a booktube fantasy favourite, I think it is, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Obviously this is always on fantasy favourite lists, And for good reason. For good reason. Yeah. I very much enjoyed these books. But this is the first book of yeah, obviously the Court and Thorns Rowdy series. And the synopsis says, she stole a life, now she must pay with her heart. When 19-year-old huntress Thera kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged to a treacherous magical land she knows about only from legends, Thera discovers that her captor is not truly a beast, but one of the lethal immortal fairies who once ruled her world. At least he is not a beast all the time. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for the fairy Tamlin transform from icy hostility into a fiery passion that burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. But something is not right in the fairylands. An ancient, wicked shadow is growing, and Thera must find a way to stop it, or doom Tamlin and his world forever. From #1 New York Times best-selling author Sarah J. Maas comes a seductive, breathtaking book that blends romance, adventure and fairy lore into an unforgettable read. I enjoyed it. I know it's all fluff and fae sort of thing, but I enjoy these books. There was great getaway books for me, like, you know, get away and skip into a land of fantastic fae, to be honest. And I'm a Rhysand girl, Rhysand, whatever it is. You know, the High Lord of the Night Court. I could understand why readers Team Rhysand, but then again you got Team Tamlin girls as well, so you know, but yeah, for escapism and for fun and fluff and all things, as I say, fae and fantastical, and just enjoy it, you know, enjoy the time in these realms. And the characters are well written as well, you know, the stories, the world building, they're well written. You know, I don't think Sarah J. Maas deserves I wouldn't say hate, but the frowning upon, if you like, as she gets, because she can tell a good story, she can, and just an enjoyable read, just enjoyable books. You know, it would be interesting to see this as a TV program or a film maybe. I know it was probably in the works some time ago about a TV series, but I've heard nothing since. But I think it will make a great TV show. You know, there's enough fun and adventure and things like that to make an all round good TV show. So fingers crossed, I'll lap on Monday. But yeah, I can't say much more about Court and Thorns and Roses, but I've been said a million times already, to be honest. But if you haven't read them and you just want a bit of fun escapism, you know, with some quite high lords thrown in for good measure, then yeah, you can't go wrong with a Court of Thorns and Roses, Team Rhysand, whichever way you want to say it, really, I suppose. Next up we have Arcana by Paul Kane. And this one says, in an alternate world where real magic exists, its practitioners are hunted down by police officers called enforcers, but some groups are fighting back. Callum Maguire is a new enforcer who once worked the quiet streets of London. As an orphan, Callum has been brought up to believe that all magic is evil, but the more he sees of the enforcer's cruel methods implemented by General Nero Stark and his second-in-command, Sherman Price, the more he begins to question whether or not they are right. and when he unwittingly encounters a member of the rebel group called Arcana, he is introduced to their world and realises that nothing will ever be the same again. Join award-winning and best-selling author Paul Kane, the sellout phenomenon, Hooded Man, award-winning Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell. Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell, fantastic book. And the best-selling Before, as he shows you a kind of magic you've never seen. This, I love this book. It's just a great story. It's been like full of thrills and chills and magic thrown in for good measure. Just an enjoyable thriller and quite tense in places. Great characters, again great world building. It needs to be, you need to discover this book for yourselves. He is a great author. Paul Kane is a great author, and I very much enjoy my time with this book. I'm hoping one day there'll be a sequel. Definite fingers crossed for that. I do keep hinting at Mr. Kane now and again on Facebook for a for a sequel, but hopefully fingers crossed one day it'll happen. But yeah, just a brilliant read. If you enjoy like thrillers with a supernatural magical twist, then you'll enjoy this one. And Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell is a mashup of Sherlock Holmes and the Cenobite, the Hell Priest from Hellraiser, from oh my goodness, Clive, help me out here, the Hellbound Heart book. So it's a mashup of, again, as some know him as, Pinhead, Hell Priest, and Mr. Sherlock Holmes. But that one's called the Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell. Fantastic read. Scary. So, but that's another book. This one's Paul Kane's Arcana. But both of them, very good reads. Very good reads. Next up, we have Erin Morgenstern's The Night Circus. And this is also well known amongst, you know, book readers and book communities, with every good reason for it being so. The synopsis, as you're probably already aware, but I'll just give a quick synopsis anyway. The circus arrives without warning. No announcements precede it. No paper notices plastered on lampposts and billboards. It is simply there when yesterday it was not. Within these nocturnal black and white striped tents awaits an utterly unique experience, a feast for the senses, where one can get lost in a maze of clouds, mender through a lush garden made of ice, stare in wonderment as a tattooed contortionist files herself into a small glass box, and become deliciously tipsy from the scents of caramel and cinnamon that waft through the air. Welcome, no, I can never pronounce this bit, so you'll have to bear with me. Welcome to Le Cirque de Rêve, Le Cirque de Rêve. Beyond the smoke and mirrors, however, a fierce competition is underway. A contest between two young illusionists, Celia and Marco, who have been trained since childhood to compete in a game to which they have been irrevocably bound by their mercurial masters. Unbeknownst to the players, this is a game in which only one can be left standing, and the circus is but the stage for a remarkable battle of imagination and will. As the circus travels around the world, the feats of magic gain fantastical new heights with every stop. The game is well underway, and the lives of all those involved, the eccentric circus owner, the elusive contortionist, the mystic fortune teller, and a pair of red-headed twins born backstage among them, are swept up in a wake of spells and charms. But when Celia discovers that Marco is her adversary, they begin to think of the game not as a competition, but as a wonderful collaboration. With no knowledge of how the game must end, they innocently tumble headfirst into love, a deep, passionate and magical love that makes the lights flicker and the room grow warm whenever they so much as brush hands. Their masters still pull the strings, however, and this unforeseen occurrence forces them to intervene with dangerous consequences, leaving the lives of everyone, from the performers to the patrons, hanging in the balance. Both playful and seductive, The Night Circus and Erin Morgenstern's spellcasting debut is a mesmerising love story for the ages. This is a beautiful, beautiful book. The characters, the story settings, the world building, the sights, the sense, it's like him there. It's like him at the circus itself. And the budding relationship, romance between Celia and Marco is just a joy to read. As a debut book, for a debut author to write a debut book like this is just phenomenal. The writing is just beautiful. And, you know, Erin Morgenstern definitely deserves the accolades she has for this story. It will make a beautiful, beautiful film. I wish somebody had snapped the rights to this. I'm not sure if it's going to happen or if it's happened. I'm not sure. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful story. And like some of the scenes, I'm just a joy to read. It's like joyful and then heartbreaking and like upsetting in some scenes, especially in regards to Celia and Marco, what they get put through by their masters, which is quite tragic, you know. But it's just an overall beautiful read. And if you've not heard of it, you've probably heard of it, but if you've never read it, just please give it a go. It's just a delight of a story. Will it stand the test of time? I'd like to think it will. I would like to think it will, because it's just a gorgeous read, to be honest. It really is. That's The Night Circus. Next up we have Celeste by Marie Regan. And this one says, Adoration has a high price. Celeste is ancient, beautiful and deadly. Aided by her servant, Clive, she has lived for over 200 years, drawing her life force from the adoration of others. First in her native country of America, and when forced to flee her home there in London. Now she has a new target for her affections in Sam, and when she invades his dreams and his life in order to seduce him and feed on his desires, she doesn't reckon on the power of his love for his wife Marianne, or the terrible price her obsession with him would exact. A terrifying novel from the Shirley Jackson and British Fantasy Award nominated Marie Regan, Mirror Mia, In Times of Want and Other Stories. That's a very good book as well, In Times of Want and Other Stories. This will make you think, make you shiver, and make you question your own closest relationships. This is a great read. It really is. It's seductive. It's sensual. It's passionate. It's terrifying. It's bloody. It's, again, to use my word again, visceral. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful read for all the right reasons. I mean, like, as I was saying, it's quite it's as scary as it is sensual. And Celeste is just she's a phenomenal character. She really is. She's beautiful. She is, again, seductive, stunning, but underneath all that, she's heartless and she is vicious and she just does not care. Basically, she just haunts this man's dreams, and it's very passionate, and it's yeah, it's quite tense and scary at times. And I'm hoping there'll be a sequel for this one as well, because I will very much read it, as I will the sequel if ever them both wrote for Arcana and Celeste. Yes please, yes please. Just very much enjoyed them, cannot praise them enough, and I'm always asking Marie and Paul if they're, gonna make sequels. And maybe someday they will, hopefully. But yeah, very much recommend this one, and Arcana. In fact, all the books I've mentioned so far. But yeah, great read, very much enjoyed it. And last but not least, we have Dolly Baiters by Paul Verdini. The top it says The Vampire Girls of Victorian London. What's that one? And this one says, welcome to the Gothic London of the 1800s. These saucy tales quicken the pulse, thrill the mind, and excite parts of the body that other, lesser books fail to reach. Novellas and short stories featured in this sweet confection of blood, sex, and Gothic melodrama includes Holmes of the Baskervilles, Miss Katie Bell, the Victorian Vampire, Joan Dark is Lost, and the Vampire Alice Through the Looking Glass. Here, vampires walk the streets and your favourite characters from Victorian literature are twisted until they snap. This is a great book. I mean, it is quite sapphic in places and stuff, but again, an enjoyable Victorian-esque book. And if you enjoy vampires, if you enjoy sapphic romances with a bloody twist, then you'll enjoy this one. Quite a fun read, quite a scary read, and an enjoyable read. And I know I'm only giving a small, short, brief reviews of my own thoughts and words, but the reason I'm doing that is so, if there's any book where I mentioned what catches your eye or what you might be interested in reading, I don't want to give spoilers. I don't want to give any tidbit. Although I've read them, I might accidentally come out with tidbits that might spoil the experience for other readers who might want to read the stories, read the books, the authors. So, that's why I'm trying to keep it as minimum as I can. And again, if you enjoy Victorian-esque, Victorian-esque, Victoriana, horror, vampires, then with a sapphic twist, as I've said, then this is a book to go to. Very good. Again, hopefully one day, Paul Verdini, you'll write another one. You'll write a sequel of stories. And that's it. The books I've mentioned, the paperbacks, the hardbacks, the authors, these are books I've read over the past 8 years. Some I've read quite a few times. I mean, like The Picture of Dorian Gray, Oscar Wilde. I've read that about 3 or 4 times over the years. and that. And these are just a selection, quite a big selection. I know this video has probably gone on for about 10 hours now. But like, these are just a selection of the books that I've enjoyed over time, over the past, like I say, 7-8 years. There's many other books I could mention, I could talk about, but if I did that, we'd be here all day and night. So somewhere along the line I probably will do another video in regards to books I've enjoyed over time, over the years, and what are still fan favourites of mine. This is going to be like a spotlight on, again, favourite books I've read over time. And I dare say I'll probably will do others in the future, but this is just a small snapshot of stories, you know, that have stuck with me or that I've enjoyed, and just to share, you know, with others. Again, I'm sorry I haven't gone into too much detail for each book. It doesn't mean to say that I never enjoy the books, because they wouldn't be on my bookshelves now if I never enjoyed them. I've enjoyed every single one I've mentioned or I've shown. It's just that I try and keep my views to a very minimum. And that. And that's it. I hope, you know, let me know if you've read any of these books, and, you know, tell me your thoughts on them, if you enjoyed them, you know, if you enjoyed your time reading them, and if you can recommend any, you know, any books to me. I'll be happy to hear any book recommendations. And that's it. So, as always, thank you for watching. Take care, stay safe, happy reading, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye for now. Bye bye.